Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I am super excited to be doing this. We are going to do an astrology video today. And basically what we're going to talk about is the difference between a daytime chart and a nighttime chart, because believe it or not, there is a difference. So we're going to jump into this topic. So when we're talking about the difference of daytime versus nighttime charts, we are talking about sect. Okay, so that is the topic that we're going to be talking about, sect in astrology. So let's jump into, before we jump into this correction, I want to introduce myself. My name is Mystical Essence, or otherwise known as Becky. I am an intuitive tarot card reader, oracle card reader, astrologer, and spiritual mentor. I do have an Etsy shop, so if you guys are interested in any of my services in the tarot reading, astrology reading, there's also PDFs over there that you can download if you're interested in any of those. I will leave the link in the description of this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are into astrology, if you're into tarot, if you're into metaphysical stuff, click the subscribe button and give me a subscribe if you would like to learn more. I'm always posting readings, I'm posting videos constantly. So yeah, give me a follow or subscribe if you so choose to. If you are not new to my channel, then welcome back. I appreciate it so much when you guys come back and you watch my videos and you learn with me. So a little bit about me, I love to help people. My goal, my mission is to help you guys learn about yourselves and learn different techniques and things that you can use to better understand yourselves. I do a lot of work with the collective as well, so humanity in general. My goal, my mission, my purpose for being here is to help people and society evolve. Okay? I want to help empower you. I want to help you guys step into the best versions of yourselves as possible. So I hope to provide ways and techniques of doing that or information through the videos I do. So on that note, we're going to jump into this topic and get right into this. It's going to be juicy. Okay, so let me pull up my screen here. So we're going to be talking about sect in astrology. Okay, so the difference between a daytime chart versus a nighttime chart. So before we can understand that, we have to understand what planetary sect is. When I'm talking about sect, okay, I am pretty much talking about the section of the day that you were born in. So we all know a day consists of 24 hours, right? And those 24 hours are split into sections, pretty much, right? There is a part of the day that is governed by the sun and it's daylight outside, it's bright outside. And then there's another part of the day that's governed by the moon where it's nighttime and it's dark outside. So when I'm talking about planetary sect, I am talking about looking and analyzing the sections of the day and what influence they have on the planets in terms of and how that influences you. Okay. So believe it or not, the people who are born during the day work and operate very differently or differently from people who are born during the night. Okay. The time of day that you were born does have an impact on your personality and how you work and operate. So when I'm talking about planetary sect, okay, we are looking at the technique that is used to identify the effects that certain planets have based on when you were born, whether you were born during the day or whether you were born at night. So this is a pretty old technique, okay? It was used by ancient astrologers, and actually it was one of the first things that ancient astrologers looked at when they looked at your chart. Because again, a person born during the night works and operates very differently from a person born during the day. Okay. Because this is an ancient technique, it works best with the form of astrology that they used back then. And the type of astrology they used back then was called whole sign. Whole sign. So they used what we call whole sign houses. So when they split up the sky into the house system, it was one sign per house. Okay. So when you are using this technique yourself, it should be used with the whole sign astrology, okay? So make sure that you switch the house systems to whole signs and not Placidus, because Placidus is a pretty modern house system. So that's the first thing. You want to use it with the whole sign house system. We also are only using the first 7 planets of our zodiac system, the traditional planets, okay? So we're not using Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto. The reason why is because they were discovered later on, okay? So ancient astrologers only could see the planets, only used and utilized the planets they could see. We didn't have the technology back then to see Uranus or Neptune or Pluto. So astrologers weren't even aware of them back then. So back then, the planets that were studied, were the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. Okay, so those are the traditional 7 planets. So when we are using this technique, we are only looking at the traditional 7 planets. Okay, so Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus aren't included in this. So sect pretty much just basically means team, alliance, or group. Okay, so there is a group of planets in astrology that works and functions better during the day, and there is a group of planets in astrology that works and functions better at night. And that's what we look at when we look at planetary sect. Okay. So we learn about those planets and how they work and operate and function and how that affects us. Oh, I'm trying to switch my thing here. Trying to switch my slide and not in the right window. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the next thing you need to know is how to determine whether you were born during the day or born during the night. Okay. For this technique, you are going to need to know your time of birth because the house systems work off of your time of birth. Okay. So to show you this, I am going to switch screens and I'm actually going to share a chart so that you guys can see how to determine this in an actual chart. So let me pull up my chart. And I'm actually going to switch to full screen because I know you guys are not going to be able to see this. So this is a chart, a planetary chart. Okay, this is what a chart looks like. So in order to know if you were born during the day or born during the night, you want to look at the horizon line. So the horizon line is the line that goes right across the middle of this chart, right? So if your sun sits in the upper half of your chart, you were born during the day. If the sun sits in the lower half of the chart, meaning below the horizon, you were born at night. Okay. So if you aren't familiar with astrology, I'm going to blow this up and show you what the sun looks like, or the symbol of the sun. So the symbol of the sun, you can see it right here, is that circle with the dot in it. So that's what you want to look for. It looks like an eyeball. So when you pull your chart up, you want to look for that glyph or that symbol in your chart. And again, if it is in the upper half of your chart, it means you were born during the day. If it is in the lower half of your chart, it means that you were born during the night. Okay? So that is how you determine whether you were born during the day or not. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It's not too complicated. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the planets in each sect. So each sect contains 3 planets, okay, that are on their team, so to speak. So you have the leaders, which are obviously the sun and the moon. We also have Benefic planet in each sect, which is the planet that helps, it aids, it wants to see you succeed. I always see benefic planets as helping planets. And then we have each sect, daytime and nighttime, has a malefic planet. Okay. So a malefic planet is one that wants to challenge us. It limits us, it restrains us, it constricts us, it causes us trouble a lot of times, okay? This is the planet that likes to deny us things. The benefic likes to give things, the malefic likes to kind of take things away. So, you know, you might have in, you know, if you have a good example of this is 2 parents, you know, you have one parent that always likes to give you things, and that's the parent you go to when you want something because the other parent is really strict and you know that they're going to take things away if you do something wrong, right? So there is, yeah, the malefic planet wants to take things away. It wants to make things challenging for you, wants to make things hard for you. The benefic planet wants to help you. It wants to see you grow. It wants to do everything it can to kind of help you and give you tools to work with. So each set contains 3 planets. Okay. And we're going to talk about the planets as well. So you might want to write this down, get a pen and paper, and write this down if this is something you're interested in. The planets. So for the daytime team, okay, or if you were born during the daytime, your leading planets or ruling whatever, the leader of that sect is the sun, obviously. The sun is the planet that rules the day, right? So the leader of that team is the sun, the benefic of the solar team. So if you were born during the day, the benefic of that team, meaning the one that helps, is Jupiter. If you were born during the day, the malefic of that team, the one that hinders, so to speak, or challenges, is Saturn. Okay. Now, if you were born at night, the ruler of the night or the leader of the night team is the moon. The benefic of the night team is Venus. That's the planet that helps. And the malefic, the planet that challenges, gives us trouble, is Mars. Okay. So those are the 2 teams. The daytime team, which is ruled by the sun, the benefic is Jupiter, the malefic is Saturn. And then the nighttime team, which is ruled by the moon, the benefic is Venus, and the malefic is Mars. Okay. So how do we determine the benefic in our charts? Okay, how do we determine? So when we're looking at the benefic in a chart, we're looking at what planet is going to help us the most. We want to look at the strongest benefic in our chart. To determine that, you have to look at the benefic of the team that you were born. So if you were born during the day, you want to look at the benefic of the daytime team, which would be Jupiter. If you were born at night, you want to look at the benefic of the nighttime team, which would be Venus. Okay. So we have two teams, 3 planets on each team. Now you noticed I didn't mention Mercury, even though Mercury is included in the 7 traditional planets. That is because Mercury is neutral. Mercury doesn't play for any team. Mercury flip-flops between teams depending on where it's needed. Okay, so it doesn't take sides, it's neutral. So when we're determining the benefic, we want to look at whether we were born during the day or the night, and then look at the benefic for the day or night. Okay, if you were born during the night, you want to find the benefic for the night. If you were born during the day, you want to find the benefic for the day, which would be Jupiter. The benefic for the night is Venus. Now, when it comes to malefics, it's the opposite way around. You want to look at the opposite team. So if you were born during the day, you want to look at the malefic for the nighttime. If you were born during the night, you want to look at the malefic for the daytime. Okay, so if you were born during the day, your malefic is in your chart. The malefic that is most at play in your chart would be Mars if you were born during the day. If you were born during the night, the malefic that would be strongest in your chart would be Saturn. Okay, so you want to look at the opposite team, so to speak. Okay, so if you're on team day because you were born during the day, you want to look at the malefic for team night and find that placement in your chart. So how do we put this all into practice? Okay, so there's a few steps that you want to take when you're putting this into practice. So to put this into practice, first of all, you need a chart. You can use your own chart. If you don't know your time of birth, you can also use somebody else's chart. Use a friend's chart. Use a family member's chart. Hell, you could even pull up a celebrity's chart online. Okay. So you need a chart. And then you want to, the first thing you want to do is determine the sect of that chart. Determine whether that person was born through the day or that person was born at night. Okay. Then you want to determine what the benefic of that sect is. Okay. So to determine the benefic, you want to look at what planet is when you were born, and you want to look at the benefic for that specific sect. So if the person was born during the day, you want to determine the benefic for the day. If that person was born at night, you want to determine the benefic for the night. Okay, and I've already gone through those. Daytime benefic is Jupiter, nighttime benefic is Venus. Okay. And then you want to determine what the malefic is of the opposite sect. Okay, so if you were born during the day, you want to look at the malefic for the nighttime. If you were born at night, you want to look at the malefic for the daytime. So the daytime malefic is Mars, okay, because that's the opposite. So the malefic for the nighttime is Mars. So if you were born during the day, your malefic or the strongest malefic in your chart is Mars. The malefic for the daytime is Saturn. So if you were born at night, the strongest malefic in your chart is Saturn. Okay. And then you want to look at the houses that they're in, because this is going to tell you what area of their life, your life in particular, they are at work in. what area you may have a lot of struggles in, or what areas you may be able to acquire things easily in, or have good luck in, or that kind of thing. What area you're kind of being helped along with in your life and you can attain things easier, and what area of your life you may have a lot of challenges and a hard time obtaining the things that you want. Okay. So I'm going to go into examples of this now. We're going to pull up some charts and we're going to go over some examples to show you exactly how this is done. Okay. So let's stop sharing this and we're going to go over and share the charts again. So I have two charts that I've created that we're going to pull up. We're going to look at both of them. Okay. So you have to know, the other thing that you have to know for this is what the planetary symbols are. So I know on astro.com, which is the site I use for astrology, they do have like a little cheat sheet at the bottom if you're a beginner and you don't necessarily know. I will link the astro.com as well in the description of this. But if you guys don't know, it does have a cheat sheet, which you can't even see that. This might help if I actually pull this up properly. Okay, so it does have a little cheat sheet at the bottom where you can see it says the sun and then it's got the glyph, right? So if you can't remember the glyphs of the planets, that's how you're going to remember them, okay? Now, if you're using a different website for your birth charts, it might be different and this might not be there. So it's important to know the symbols. You can even just jot them down, look them up, Google them. I am working on an astrology course that will teach you how to read your birth chart, at least basic anyways, where we cover all of that as well. So the first thing that I said that when we put this into practice that we need to do is we need to pull up a chart. Well, here we have a chart. This is the first example. Okay. So we do have a chart. We do have a chart. This is random. This isn't for anybody. This was random data that I put together to throw up a chart, which is also something you can do to practice. Just create random charts, right? They don't have to be actual people, just for practice charts, you know what I mean? So in this chart, as an example, we now have the chart, right? Now we have to find where the sun is. Is it in the upper half of the chart or is it in the lower half of the chart? And here, in this specific chart, we can see that the sun is in the upper half of the chart. So that tells us that this person was born during the day while the sun was above the horizon, right? So we know that this person is a daytime sect, which means their planet, the Benefic anyways, is Jupiter. So that's the next thing we have to determine. What is the benefic of that sect? So they were born during the daytime. What is the benefic of the daytime sect? It is Jupiter. So Jupiter is the strongest helper in their chart. Okay. And then we have to determine what is the malefic. So the malefic in the chart is the malefic of the opposite sect. Okay. So when we're looking for the strongest malefic, it is not Saturn. Okay. Saturn is the daytime malefic. So we actually want to look at the malefic for the nighttime team, which is Mars. So Mars would be the strongest malefic. And Jupiter would be the strongest benefic. Okay. In this person's chart. So then we look at the houses and we can see that in the ninth house, there's a lot of challenges, obviously. Mars being in the ninth house, and we also have Saturn in the ninth house as well. Which is funny because both of those malefics are in that house, which makes it probably really, really challenging for them. Now, on the other side of that, we do have the benefic, Venus being the benefic, one of the benefics, but the weaker one in this chart is also in there. So poor Venus might be trying to help out a little bit, but is kind of overpowered by these two malefics. Okay, the strongest one is Mars, and when it is put in the ninth house, that is the house of higher learning. It is the house of long distance travel. It is the house of philosophy. It is the house of beliefs, kind of religion sometimes. So this person may have a hard time kind of digesting. They may have had challenges, a lot of challenges when it comes to religion or following religious dogma. They might have had a lot of challenges when it comes to higher learning, going to college, going to university, or even traveling long distances. They may also have a lot of challenges connecting to and relating and, you know, with other cultures and people of other ethnic diversities, because the ninth house kind of has to do with, traveling to different parts of the world and learning to blend with learning about different cultures and different ethnicities and people that don't live in your general vicinity, right? So that may also be a bit of an area of their life that they really, really struggle with. Whereas when we look at the benefic is in the 10th house. So they may definitely really flourish when it comes to their career. They may also find that it is easy for them to get noticed by people in general. The 10th house is also the public, right? And how the public sees you. And so this person is seen as a very good person by the public. They are seen very easily by the public, right? They have had good fortune in terms of their career, in terms of, other people being able to see them, other people being able to notice them, and maybe even being in the spotlight. So do you see how that works? So the next chart, so we're going to do one more example. Okay, we're going to switch charts here. We're going to go to the other example chart I have. And so this one, we have to find the sun again. That's the first thing. We've pulled the chart up. Now we have to determine where the sun is to figure out whether they're daytime or nighttime, right? In this case, we can see the sun is below the horizon. So this person was born at night, okay? Actually, just probably 2 or 3 hours before sunrise. But they were born at night because the sun is below the horizon. So we know that this is a nighttime chart, okay? So the next thing we want to do is identify the benefic in this chart and the malefic. So the benefic is the same as the benefic of the night. Okay. So what is the benefic of the night? It's Venus. So here we have Venus. And then we also want to know the malefic of this chart. And the malefic is the malefic of the opposite team. So it is the malefic of the daytime, which is Saturn, which is over here. Okay. So when we are looking at these, we have Venus in the 4th house. So this person flourishes in their home. Okay. They're very well loved, very well liked by family, probably. You know, home is their sanctuary, home is where they flourish, they have everything they need, and they can attract things really easily within their home. Okay, so you know, things come easily to them when it comes to things they need within their home or even family. You know, they might be easily able to get what the help that they need from family members. um, they may have had a really good relationship with their mother growing up, you know, that kind of thing. This benefic planet is kind of influencing that area of their life, right? So they may also have, if they're changing homes, they're moving homes, right? They may also have a super easy time finding homes. Like they don't have any challenges necessarily finding homes. They could have a bit of a challenge. I'm not going to say no challenges because Mars is here too, which is the malefic for the nighttime, but typically the malefics of the same team, they pose challenges, but the challenges are overcomable, right? You can work with them to kind of overcome them. They aren't as strong as the challenges produced by Saturn in this chart, okay? So while there may be challenges produced by Mars, they aren't as strong and they're probably going to be overcome with this Venus energy, okay? So it may be like minor delays or minor setbacks, that kind of thing, but nothing that's going to say no, like you end up homeless kind of thing, all right? Um, so that's something to take into consideration. And then we have the malefic in this chart. The strongest malefic is Saturn, and this is in the second house. So this can really affect this person's ability to obtain the things they need in life. It can make them have to work so much fucking harder. And I can say this because I have a nighttime chart and Saturn is in my second house. So I can say this out of experience that Saturn in the second house, when it is your biggest malefic, makes you work your ass off for the thing, for anything. Okay, so money does not come easily. We have to work our hinds off for it. Okay, a lot of times we don't get paid. We end up working um, and not getting paid the equivalent of what we're working for. Okay. Saturn can deny money, it can restrict money, it can restrict our sense of value. So, a lot of times in this house, Saturn affects our own sense of value and our own sense of worth. So, again, we can provide work for people or do work for people for less than what it should be valued at because we don't see it as valuable, right? We don't see it as worth as much as like maybe other people do, that kind of thing. So Saturn in this chart, being the biggest malefic, can prove the biggest challenges when it comes to obtaining money, obtaining resources, right? Getting our own resources, getting our own money, getting the things that we need in life. And that's where Saturn challenges us the most there. Makes sense? So that is examples of how you can understand how these planets kind of work, how you can figure out what is the planet that's helping you the most in your chart, and how you can figure out what is the planet that is kind of holding you back the most in your chart, so that in what areas of your life that's kind of impacting. So I'm going to stop sharing that. The other thing that I did want to talk about that I'm not sure if I went over was the difference between a day chart and a night chart. So let's just talk about that really quick. If I already talked about it and I'm repeating myself, I apologize. but I think I skipped that. So we're going to talk about the difference between a day chart and a night chart. Just a second here. Actually, maybe I can squeeze this in really quick before my computer dies. Okay, so difference between a day chart and a nighttime chart. A daytime person acts differently. So when we are born during the day, we embody solar qualities. We embody the qualities of the sun. The sun is very masculine in nature, so we tend to take on masculine. We tend to be very masculine in the way we do things and in the way we work and operate within the world. Okay, so daytime people tend to be more intellectual people. They tend to be up in their minds a lot more. They tend to think about things a lot more. They tend to analyze things and rationalize things. And then they tend to take action based upon what's in their head, pretty much, right? They are very action-oriented people. They are very maybe more extroverted. They're not afraid to go out and get what they want. They're not afraid to be in the spotlight. You know, very intelligent, very social, very passionate, very willful, very driven kind of people. Nighttime people are ruled by the moon. So we tend, if you're a person like me, born during the night, you tend to embody more lunar qualities, which is more the feminine energy, okay? Which means we tend to be a little more introverted. We tend to be a little more focused on our intuition, and we utilize our intuition and our feelings. That's what drives us, pushes us forward. That's what moves us into action, kind of thing. We are focused on how we feel. We run and operate off of our intuition and our feelings. We are a little more emotional in that sense. We may be a little more introverted, you know, a little more private, not as out there for everybody to see, that kind of thing. So when you are a daytime person, you're a little more extroverted. You go after the things you want. You, again, maybe up in your head about things. You take on all those masculine qualities, the qualities of air, the qualities of fire. When you're a nighttime person, it's more the lunar stuff. So when you think about the moon, it's a little more subtle, right? It's a little more flexible, always changing, you know, intuitive, emotional, that kind of thing. Those are the traits that lunar people take on. Okay, so that's pretty much the difference between a daytime person and a nighttime person, in case I didn't cover that already. So on that note, that is all I've got for you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have any questions concerning this, please feel free to drop them in the comments below and feel free to ask. I will be more than happy to answer any questions you have. And yeah, if you liked this video, feel free to share it to somebody who you think might benefit from it. Feel free to give it a thumbs up and like it. You know, whatever vibes with you. And I hope that you guys all have an amazing and awesome day. And I will, or night, whenever you happen to be watching this, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye for now, guys.